What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome into the Bulls Report. My name is Patrick Seatman, and on today's show, a little more of a podcast style of conversation, a little more talking shop, talking ball here in the studio, because I got Patrick Williams on my mind. And with Bulls training camp getting going this week, a lot of the talk around training camp has been around Patrick Williams potentially taking that next step in his game and why the Chicago Bulls absolutely need Patrick Williams to take that next step. And we've all heard the Kawhi Leonard comparison been thrown out there by our very own DeMar DeRozan. Even back when we drafted him with the 4th overall pick out of Florida State, we kept saying this guy could be baby Kawhi. We called him baby Paul here for a little bit. So on today's show, I'm going to be discussing how Patrick Williams can take that Kawhi Leonard-esque jump. But I do want to kick it to this. So this is a graph showing points per game over years of experience. So Kawhi Leonard is in the red right now, and Patrick Williams is in the blue. And a lot of people have been saying, like, obviously Kawhi Leonard was a slower developing player in the NBA, and Patrick Williams is very similar. They both came onto the scene with the respective teams. With Kawhi with the Spurs, they asked him, hey, we need you to be a point of attack defender and a good catch and shoot shooter. The Bulls, when they brought in Patrick Williams, very similar. Just improve your catch and shoot ability and become a great defender. And he's done that. And Patrick Williams is on a very similar trajectory to Kawhi. But the biggest leap for P-Dub is going to have to come from this next year. When Kawhi was at 12.79, he jumped up to 16. Can Patrick Williams take that 10.16 points per game and jump it up to around 16? That's a question that is going to be asked or answered this season. But DeMar DeRozan at Bulls training camp had this very interesting quote, just talking about Patrick Williams and just his overall game and his development. He said, I hate comparing guys to other guys. I seldom do it. But he reminds me of Kawhi. I know that's been thrown out there, but his build, the way he moves, everything. Kawhi's one of the greatest players to play this game, and that's high praise right there. That's what I see Pat becoming. And listen, I do agree with DeMar DeRozan. It is high praise to compare a young and up-and-coming star to Kawhi Leonard. I mean, this is a Kawhi Leonard who we've seen already win 2 finals MVPs, was at a point in his career, was the best get a stop and get a bucket guy in the league. I've loved Kawhi's game. If I had to mold kind of a player in this kind of modern-day game, like as just a true 3-and-D guy, that was Kawhi Leonard. And now if you compare Kawhi to Patrick Williams, it's very similar. They both got these big frames. You know, Patrick Williams is 6'7", Kawhi 6'8". Like, they're both got these big frames, big kind of broad shoulders, these long wingspans, and they move very similar. And the one part of his game with P-Dub that really translates to Kawhi's game, and we really saw it last season, is his mid-range shooting. I mean, Patrick Williams would get here, get to a bump, and then he would rise up so much more than we've seen in years past. And that's what I think really wins in the modern day NBA, is when you have a guy, you could throw him the ball at the top of the key, and you could just clear out, flatten out, and say, go get a bucket, and do the Patrick Williams size and overall just athletic profile. He's able to get to a spot, rise up, and it really doesn't matter the defense. It comes down to him hitting jump shots. I'm a big fan of Patrick Williams. I've been a believer of his since he came out of college, and we've already seen the development. Because what was the number one kind of area of need around his game when we drafted him? It was the three-point shooting ability. Well, he's already improved that. He is already one of the better catch-and-shoot three-point shooters in the league. He has already taken that next step where he's shot over 40% throughout his short NBA career so far. And if you combine that with his overall athletic ability and being one of the better defenders we've seen at the wing spot in the NBA, that's when he can take that Kawhi Leonard jump. And I thought it was interesting. If you actually look at Patrick Williams and Kawhi Leonard's catch and shoot 3-point percentages from this last year, they were the exact same. Obviously, Kawhi was doing it on a way higher, more shot attempts per game. But Patrick Williams is still getting a lot of catch and shoot 3-point looks, and he was taking advantage. If he can shoot that still at a 41.9% this upcoming year, I think the Bulls could be incredibly successful, and I think we would just overall see his game go to another level. And could it be that Kawhi jump? Just going to come down to him getting more shot attempts, and we'll get into that here in a second. But I do want to get you guys involved in the conversation. Do you guys believe in Patrick Williams? Are you a supporter or are you a doubter? This will be the pinned comment on today's video. Do you believe in Patrick Williams Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no at today's pinned comment. I am a believer in Patrick Williams, mainly because of this point. His archetype wins in the NBA. And what do I mean by archetype? Like style of play and style of player. If I had to categorize Patrick Williams, it would be he is a 3-and-D wing that can defend at a high level and get his shot on his own when he needs to. And if we look around the league, those guys have dominated throughout NBA history. Like you think about like the Kawhis, obviously. You think about the KDs. You think about the LeBrons. And then obviously now more in the modern day, we've seen bigs even become more involved in just being like the top players in the league, like Jokic and Embiid. Like wings and bigs have dominated throughout NBA history. Obviously, the one dude who is the exception is Steph Curry, and he is the greatest offensive talent, in my opinion, pound for pound, that we have ever seen. He can do everything on the basketball court, and he is the exception. I mean, his handle's great. His finishing around the rim's great. His shooting ability is the greatest of all time. Steph Curry is the exception, but overall, wings like that win. So that's why I want to see the Bulls offense kind of conform more around Patrick Williams instead of going towards LaVine and DeRozan. What if it's more LaVine and P-Dub running the offense? I got more thoughts here in a second on our guy, Patrick Williams, but I do want to give a big-time shout-out to our brand-new sponsor here at the Bulls Report, and that is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America, and it is the easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Instead of battling versus thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy app. And they actually have plays you can make for this upcoming NBA season. Zach LaVine's projected points per game is at 25.1. I'm going to go more. DeMar DeRozan is at 23.8. I'm actually going to go less because of our guy Patrick Williams. I think he's going to take a lot of the scoring output that DeMar DeRozan was producing last year. And then Vooch, he's one of the best rebounders in the game. I'm going to go more than 10.9 rebounds for him. But make sure you guys get hooked up with Prize Picks today. That's one more time. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Make sure you guys get hooked up today. Links for you guys in the comment section and description of today's show. Well, let's take a look at what Patrick Williams did last season and set the scene heading into next year. Because listen, he had a good year last year. He played all 82 games. I love that, especially since he was hurt most of his sophomore campaign. Seeing him get out there, absolutely dominate on the defensive side of the floor for all 82. I love it. 10 points per game, 4 rebounds. Obviously, he didn't have the ball in his hand too often, so the playmaking numbers aren't really there, but it's the efficiency. I've been saying this over and over again. How do you determine what players are going to break out? If they are kind of they're in an offense where they aren't getting the most shots, but they're still remaining efficient, I think that speaks to his game and just his overall kind of player profile, and that's what also needs to change. The Bulls' shot attempts per game last year, it just bothered me. A lot of it was just too LaVine and DeRozan centric, and I get it. They're the 2 best offensive players on this team, but you have guys like Patrick Williams right there, even a guy like Kobe White, who I think deserves more shots. So if I had to pick this going in the next season, LaVine can take his 18, keep his 18, he deserves it. I would probably knock down Vooch, probably 4 shot attempts per game, and DeRozan 4 shot attempts per game, and maybe give 6 more to Patrick Williams and 2 more to Kobe White. That's how I would play it. I just think it's you got to shift towards this younger Bulls generation, because this big 3 where you're running it through these guys. Listen, the Bulls were 22nd in scoring last season. You just got to switch it up. But the key for Patrick Williams, obviously I've been talking about his efficiency. So you may be saying, well, he's only efficient because he hasn't been getting a lot of shot attempts per game, and he hasn't obviously, had the ball in his hands too much. Well, that's the key. If Patrick Williams is able to up his shot attempts per game from 8 to 14 and maintain shooting 46% from the field and 41.5% from deep, we could be seeing a guy that could be averaging 20+ this upcoming season. And if he does that, I think the Bulls would have a young little star on their hands. But a lot of this season comes down to number 44 in the red and white and black. So I'm a fan of him. I think he's going to do good. But I'll ask you guys this question. I want you guys to predict Patrick Williams' stats for next season for me down in the comments section. If you guys think he's going to average 16, 18, whatever it is, give me your stat prediction for Patrick Williams down below. So my stat prediction, I got him taking a leap right here. I got him going up, not crazy, to like 16, 17, 18, but I got him going up to 14.5 points per game. I think he's going to up his rebounding and just be overall more active, get that assist number up to about 3 per game. But I think his overall efficiency, especially getting downhill, will increase. He's added on some good size. He looks more springy here early on at training camp, but I do think his three-point shooting will just naturally take 2 percentage points down. But, I mean, hey, this would be an absolute great year for Patrick Williams. If we're looking back and, like, that's his stat line and he's taking that next step, I mean, heading into the next season, we're going to be like, it's a dude who could average 20 a game and be one of the best defenders in the league. Be patient with him. We knew this was going to be a process when we drafted him. He was a project. He's taken the correct steps. He's shown the work ethic. He's shown the character. Let's be patient, Bulls fans, and I believe in Patrick Williams. We're just going to come down and see if he takes that next step next season, but I think he will. Hey, and if also any more news around the Bulls come out, you guys can also hit me up on Twitter at PatSeeves. I'll be tweeting about Bulls training camp and the whole 9 all year long. So make sure you guys give me a follow at PatSeeves. See you guys next time. Go Bulls.